very odd shaped head. It's like we have a head, and then there's a little like dome on top of the head. So when we buy a hat, it doesn't fit right.
Okay, so you don't wear hats.
No, I always wear hats, but it's just very hard finding one that fits my head, and it is really hot in here.
The heater's off. We're good.
All right.
I'm actually kind of hot now too. My hands are freezing.
I'm just wearing a wool blanket, by the way.
I am. All right.
We ready?
Oh, well, hi, everyone.
Hey, guys.
Welcome to the CannaCast here at the Michigan Cannabis Industry Association. I am Ida Pearl-Lee, the Deputy Director and Patient Advocate.
My name is Jay Jones. I'm your neighborhood-friendly membership director. Ida, we had some travels this week or last week.
We did. We went to, we saw Luann at Sun Provisioning Centers.
Where's that?
Oh my goodness. You asked me and it just left my head. Buchanan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we went to Pinnacle
Emporium.
Yep. And then capped it off with Greenstem
over in Niles with Katie. We had an awesome trip that weekend.
The boys were kicked out.
Yes.
We had to go home. It was a good time. Absolutely. And how was Hash Bash?
Hash Bash was awesome. We want to give a huge shout out to the Hash Bash committee for including us.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for having a sponsor, and it was an awesome event. You guys did an awesome virtual, Hash Bash, and thank you.
All righty. Well, we have a lot going on today in the news, and we have a great guest. So let's start off the news, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So first up, it seems that Tonight Show host and junior member of the Matt Gaetz Hairstyle Impersonation Club, Jimmy Fallon, is having sport with one of our members' philanthropic endeavors. Steadfast Lab has offered a $1,200 scholarship to Lake Superior State University in cannabis chemistry. Fallon takes a couple shots at it. He goes on to say it's the only 2-year degree that takes 12 years to finish. It comes with a lifetime supply of Flaming Hot Cheetos. And when you graduate, Willie Nelson has you move your braid to the left. You also forgot that it's the only diploma that doubles as a rolling paper when you graduate. Seriously, the Michigan cannabis industry brings a lot of revenues for some really great endeavors here in our state, whether it be education, medical research for our vets, social equity at underserved communities, and just to show we are good sports, Mr. Fallon, we are going to send you a curated swag box from our members. It's not going to be medicated. For the real stuff, we would also like to extend you and Questlove an invitation to come to the Mitten State and give a tour of some of our favorite dispensaries.
Mm-hmm. But hey, how cool is that Steadfast Labs is offering
a scholarship?
Yeah. I mean, that is so cool.
To a real university.
I know. Kudos. That's awesome. Our next news story comes out of Rolling Stones. Could cannabis become the job curator for the century? And I'm just going to read this to you real quick. For example, according to a recent report from the cannabis media platform Leafly, there are more legal cannabis professionals nationwide than there are electrical engineers, dentists, and paramedics. In Michigan, more than half of those cannabis-related jobs are added were just added in 2020 alone. Referring specifically to Michigan.
That's awesome.
That's really awesome.
Is that my word today, by the way?
Awesome. What, Michigan? Awesome.
No, every week I seem to have a word. Fantastic. Every week. This week it's awesome.
Every week. Real quick. I want to finish this because I think it's important. It's estimated that over 77,000 jobs were reported, with 32% of those new job growth in the U.S. since 2017. That's huge.
That's bigger than huge.
I mean, the U.S. economy contracted 3.5, unemployment overall doubled, and some 10 million workers lost their jobs.
Yeah.
And for the cannabis industry to come out booming like this in the pandemic is just, it's awesome to hear that we can support each other in our country.
It is. And finally, in this week's groundbreaking science news, Michigan dispensary owners say many people are turning to cannabis to get a good night's sleep.
I know I do.
I heard that somewhere. Apparently years ago, Greenhouse of Walled Lake owner
Jerry
Millen he's former sportscaster, turned to I'm not gonna say what he said, but he turned to cannabis for sleep as opposed to Ambien and traditional methods and things like that. And our next guest, John McLeod, owner of Cloud Cannabis, we're going to talk about something really special that his dispensary is featuring for those that are having trouble sleeping. Mm-hmm. So with that, we introduce John McLeod, owner of Cloud Cannabis. John, welcome to the show.
Well,
Hey, John, how you doing?
Hi, Ida. Hi, Jay. Thank you. It's awesome to be on with you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we're very happy to have you here.
Good. I used your buzzword too, Jay. This whole thing is going to be awesome all day, man.
Right. Far out, man.
Awesome.
So, John, you've opened Cloud Cannabis. Can you just give us a little bit about your history? We know that you grew up in Detroit and that you're a long life Michigander. Just tell us a little bit about that and why you're still here.
Yes. Yeah. And thank you for the opportunity and the platform. So I'm born and raised in Detroit. I'm a public school kid. My parents still live in the city. They bought their house when my dad got out of Vietnam in 1970. My mother has never had an address outside the city of Detroit. So we're lifelong Detroiters. And for me, I came to cannabis through an injury, that I sustained, and it was medicine for me. It was, and there's a whole backstory to it, but that's really what drew me to cannabis. And then trying to fill a gap in the space, in the industry, really, of an education piece that was missing between the time when a patient gets a recommendation from a medical professional for medicinal cannabis and then actually going to a retail location. My first interaction with that was fortunate because I was able to go to a location in Ann Arbor that's been producing a good cannabis experience for a very long time, and that's Ohm of Medicine. Shout out to Ohm. That was the first dispensary that I ever went to as a medical patient, and I'm fortunate for that experience. So, Cloud Cannabis is trying to lead with education across the state just to provide safe, secure access to medicine for everyone, whether adult use consumer or a patient.
Mm-hmm.
What's really cool, John, about you guys is for years now, I went to visit my partner at our office right on Huron Street, and there is the Washtenaw Homeless Shelter Association there. I never knew I knew there was homeless people always gathering there, but it took you guys and your donations to the Shelter Association of Washtenaw County. And I think that kind of ties in with you being a lifelong Michigander and a local resident. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how you're bringing awareness to that group and how that came about?
Yeah, the great thing about the cannabis industry just in general is the give backs, the charitable donations, and these initiatives that, a lot of us operators are starting here. And there's some really, really good ones. We've found that we've gotten a lot of good out of homeless, like the Shelter Association you're also mentioning, but also humane societies and veterans groups. But the Shelter Association of Washtenaw County was really special for us because we get turned down by not-for-profits all the time for charitable donations, which is just so frustrating, right? And they were so welcoming and so open to our not only associating themselves with us, but promoting us and promoting our partnership. And they just so happened to be supporting housing of all the homeless in Washtenaw County at the church directly behind our store through the month of December. So we got to see those residents actually coming and going from the church each day and got to interact with our employees and stuff. So it was really neat because it was tangible, right? It's local. This is hyper local charitable givings that we're really trying to push here. And having that partnership with the Shelter Association was transformative. I mean, to think that there's people in this country that are homeless, period, is hard to even think about. But talking to the director of the Shelter Association of Washtenaw County, one of the things that really struck me when we were, really drumming up this partnership is she said that they have people in their shelters that have not had the physical touch of another human being in years. I think that's the first time I've told that story and not cried. I mean,
Wow.
it's unbelievable. So you think about, okay, yes, housing and feeding and all that kind of stuff, but how about just treating these people as human beings? I mean, let's show a little dignity, right? Give them a little bit of respect. I mean, people struggle with all types of things, and we all are every single day. So it's just showing that grace and showing some latitude for people and understanding that we're really all in this together collectively as humans. Sure. So their mission really really spoke to us, and I'm glad that it raised awareness for you, Jay, and for the greater Ann Arbor community they said they saw a considerable uptick in hits and donations post our partnership. So very, very excited about that one.
Absolutely.
That is so cool.
To have an impact on a community like that is huge.
Thank you.
Yep, and we partnered with a group in Muskegon too, which is it's called WINK, for All Women Veterans, and we did a 12 Days of Christmas event there where we set up 12 individual tents, and we had handmade cards and gifts, and we provided them with a hot meal, and we had a band, and they ate the meals in their cars, and the band was outside in a parking lot, but we did the best we could. But it was about just loving on our female veterans, and the group. They put on a similar event last year, and so 2019, and what they gave away was, basically shopping bags full of food. Well, the feedback they got from some of those veterans is they did not have the access to even cook the food. They didn't have access to a kitchen or, so we pivoted it to an actual meal that at least we knew at that moment in time they could have that meal and they could have some entertainment and some gifts and really get loved on. And it was special for me and my family because I packed up my 14-year-old and 11-year-old and my wife, and we went up there and we worked the event together. And so it was charitable, it was spiritual, and it was just another way that we want to give back to the community.
And I know I have kids just about your age too, and it maybe takes a little prodding to get them to do stuff like that. But it always seems like once you get them into the rhythm of volunteering and stuff like that, they love it.
Well, and it's helping them understand giving back. It's humanity.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. My parents growing up were very progressive. We started a recycling program in the city when we were very young, me and my sisters, and, they were very involved in the community and very involved in giving back, and also understanding that though, I didn't come from means by any means, we were not short on love or support or respect, for ourselves and our neighbors. So, that is really what drives us because, the money comes and goes, that's not what's real here. What's real here is what you can provide of value to the bigger world. And that's the push. And yes, there was maybe a little bit, it was early. We had to leave early, Jay. So, that conversation. But, this is something that I think that they can build on for their own lives, and model this behavior moving forward.
I think it's an awesome example that you're
cool.
setting.
Yeah, it really is.
So real quick, we want to change gears just a little bit. And I think all three of us, here on this podcast have had a personal injury that we've turned to, cannabis for. Can you tell us a little bit about your accident? And I understand that you've had some surgeries that have gone along with that as well. And what led you, on your journey looking for alternative medicines?
Yeah, so I tore my ACL, my MCL, and I shattered my kneecap, and had a handful of surgeries, and really nothing was relieving me of my pain and my discomfort. And after the third surgery, I was basically given opiates. Here's your opiates. Go on your way. There's nothing else we can do for you. And my wife and I try to be very natural. We're yogis, we try to be very, clean and healthy on things. And we were very resistant to any pharmaceuticals. Just, I wasn't a cannabis consumer, but I didn't want any pharmaceuticals in my body. But I was not aware enough, not educated enough about cannabis at that time. This is 2009, 2010. So this is very early on in the progression of cannabis in the state of Michigan, So I finally relented, started on an opiate, and within a very short period of time, my wife sat me down and said, "This is not working. You're not being a good husband." Really the most painful thing was I wasn't being a good father. Yep. And it's, it's taken some getting over, just the fact that I allowed that to happen to myself and to my family in a very short period of time. And so that was the moment where we said, okay, something has to change. Fortunately, Dr. Sakib Nakadar, who is Doc Green's clinic, is a close personal friend of mine. And I gave him a call, and he was ready. He's just a happy guy anyways, but he was very happy to get that call. And like I said, he wrote me a recommendation, and I went to Ohm, and fortunately had a very, very good first experience with cannabis and continued as a patient from there. But for me, cannabis for medicine, I was told I was going to be on opiates the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Only problem is I would incrementally have to increase them over time, and I could just never stop them. Other than that, everything's fine. Nothing to look at here. Everything's awesome, right? So, but with cannabis, it was like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first time I tried cannabis. It was like a new world opened up to me. You know, it was my eyes opened up, and it was transformative in so many ways for me, for my family, for my future, for future generations. It saved me in so many different ways. So, you know, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. And I'm able to treat my pain successfully with cannabis every day without side effects. I know I'm taking clean medicine that's from the earth. It's lab tested, it's safe, and it's available at all Cloud Cannabis locations throughout the state. You know, fortunately in Michigan, we're in a very progressive state that we actually have access to cannabis throughout the state. You know, we're seeing this wave of legislation of legalization, and you see Virginia just pushed their whole timeline by 4 years. I think they added it up to approve adult use, but there's people in this country that don't have access to cannabis for medicine.
Right.
And that alone is a crime. So I feel very fortunate to be in Michigan, to be a Michigander, and to be part of this industry that's just, it's nurtured and it's cared for appropriately in the state.
Mm-hmm. It's so important too for us to educate. Like you said, you really didn't have an idea of cannabis before, and it was an eye opener for you. It changed your mind, and I think sharing our stories and helping people understand, it is okay, and this is a medicine, and there is an alternative. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're absolutely right. That's the biggest thing. It's education. It's destigmatizing it. But in that Metro Times article that Jay was referencing, the big piece on that that I mentioned in there is that we have a lot of people that come into the store as adult use customers, right? They'll come into Ann Arbor or Muskegon. They'll come in as adult use customers, but they're trying to treat what otherwise would be considered things that we would treat with medicine, right? So I can't sleep. Well, if you go to your doctor and you tell him you can't sleep, he's going to give you a sleeping pill, So you're using something for medicine to treat your lack of sleep. So why isn't it's the same thing if you use cannabis, right? Except for this is natural, it's a cleaner option. So there's a large number of adult use customers that come in that are really actually medical patients, but just without a card, for whatever reason that may be,
Right.
Sure.
Right.
And John, you really touched on something there. And, not that we're going to go into a big pharma bashing thing, but we've all been touched by cannabis coming from a negative pharmaceutical or medical experience. I, like you, I was treated for way too many years for anxiety and depression and chronic pain from injuries with both opiates and benzodiazepines. And, it took me getting off of those, switching to cannabis, thank God before my dad passed, he's like, my son's alive again. I see it in your eyes. Freaking cannabis, when I wake up in the morning, I'm in just excruciating pain. And, the kids know, take your medicine. And like, I'm getting a little emotional, but it's night and day.
Yeah.
Really is.
And kudos to you, Jay, to sharing that experience with your children and with your family and open and honest. That's a big, I guess, detractor for a lot of people, particularly if you want to consume cannabis the traditional way, so to speak. Smoking it there's a smell. Obviously, it's I've heard. So it's not as easy to be discreet about that. And my wife and I were very intentional in that process with our children because this is 10, 11 years. So my son was just born. My daughter was 2 or 3. They grew up, they just like your kids, Jay, it's my medicine. Yeah. And that's all it is. And they have a respect for the plant and their respect for, what it can do for good. That's the substantial change that's going to, this kind of generation coming up, it's going to be nothing for them,
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's great to see.
Yeah.
It is.
So, kind of on a different note, you guys kind of just appeared in the Ann Arbor scene. I remember it was during the pandemic, and I'm like, I can't find, it was just people around us. I'm like, who is this new person coming up on Weed Maps? Who is this Cloud Cannabis? I need to get to the bottom of this.
Yes.
It was curbside only.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I can't think of the one bud tender's name. He's got longer hair. I think it's Eric.
Eric with a K. Yeah, it's the best. The best.
What an awesome curbside experience. And as John will tell you, I mean, I'm in there every week, at least.
Yeah.
It's just so tell me about it, starting it during the worst time ever to start a business.
Yeah, it's a great feedback. And Eric with a K, shout out to Eric with a K. He actually, this is a great example. Eric with a K came in at a very entry-level position in Ann Arbor, and he has now been moved up to management and is going to be one of our head managers at our hopefully very, very productive Utica store, which is coming online in the next 30 days here. So
wow, congratulations.
Yeah, he's outstanding. And to be able to promote within in this short period of time is really a blessing. So I mean, starting a new business during a pandemic it's quite the challenge. Fortunately, we opened in Muskegon Township in June of last year. And that was, again, a curbside where we're waiting for millwork to get shipped and installed, that kind of stuff. But it was a good ease into the market for us, right? It was a nice entry level where we could work the kinks out. We could make sure that we're not going to be total disasters on retail end and that kind of thing. So when it came to Ann Arbor, it was just about making sure that we do all of those things and we do them right. Because, I mean, Ann Arbor is a competitive market, right? It's also the epicenter of cannabis. So, I grew up in Detroit, as I said. I'm 25 minutes down the road growing up. I mean, I remember going to the Diag with our friends when we got our license and thinking we were really cool, walking around or saying, hey, we were at Hash Bash, and then here we have 50th anniversary and Cloud Cannabis is one of the sponsors for Hash Bash. So it's just, Ann Arbor is just a special place for cannabis, period. So for me, I just really felt like I wasn't going to rest until I was two places, in Ann Arbor, which we are now, in Detroit, which we will be in June. So so really, really excited about Ann Arbor. The biggest drag with the pandemic is really getting, actually construction materials, millwork, that kind of stuff, packaging, that kind of stuff. We haven't had any trouble getting employees. We haven't had any trouble keeping people. People love working at Cloud Cannabis. I hear that's a common refrain for a lot of people, particularly in the restaurant industry. But we've been very, very thankful that we've been able to retain a lot of our staff and promote within. I'm excited to see what Ann Arbor will look like once it becomes Ann Arbor again, because it just feels, it just doesn't feel right now, the city as a whole. I mean, it feels sleepy, and that is not a sleepy town.
Not at all.
You're right. Not at all.
That's where like all you Lansing people come to like hang out.
I'm not from Lansing.
Oh, well, sorry.
But I hang out in Ann Arbor. Right.
Any other locations besides Detroit or Utica coming up?
So I mean, we're working on a handful, all over the state. We got some very exciting things planned. Grand Rapids is really, a focus for us right now for really that 7th or 8th store. We have a couple Grand Rapids stores that we're building out and really just to make sure we're doing it the right way, right? We're going wide in Michigan and deep in Michigan, right? So we're going to have a nice big footprint, but we're going to do it deliberately. We're not rushing into things. We're still self-funded. It's still us. The co-founders, the owners are the ones, pushing tables around and setting up, so I mean, we're not writing things down on a napkin anymore, but we're not completely, corporate at this point in time. We're just really hustling really hard and doing things the right way. So again, I think if we get to 10 stores by the end of the year, I'll be very, very pleased with our progress.
It's great.
Wow. Yeah. Congratulations and good luck on that.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So every day, Jay comes in literally every day and has to talk about your store, and it's how clean it is, how accessible it is. There's some kind of bud tender IA that I hear about, or AI.
AI. There you go. You got it. You got it.
Iowa, right?
I'm getting there. Very tech savvy. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It sounds amazing. I need to get in there.
Yeah. So, and yes, you do need to get in there. For us, our stores, a common refrain we hear from people as they come into our stores, they say it kind of feels like an Apple store. Sure. And I quickly correct them and I say an Apple store feels like a Cloud store. So just so that we're all on the same page, how we feel about it. But it's really just trying to be an accessible, approachable brand, period. That's all we've really tried to build here. So in our store design, in our layout, we have, 5 effects that we highlight in our stores. And so we have effects walls, and what it allows the cannabis consumer who is obviously not fluent in the products or the benefits of them, it's something that's easily digestible. Because what we discovered is, and I found this in my own journey with cannabis, is that if you walk into a lot of these stores, and at that time it was a bunch of slot walls behind counters and you couldn't touch product, there was no prices on anything. So things have moved on a little bit from that. But if there's a bunch of jars with these really weird names, grape apple perp or orangello 17 or those kind of things, somebody who's not familiar with cannabis is probably not going to try something like that. Whereas, that may be the exact strand that works for that individual. So there's got to be some way to explain that to them. There's got to be some way to almost kind of simplify or dumb down the process, and that's what we've tried to do with our effects walls. And that leads into the sleep thing a little bit. We have energize, focus, calm, relief, and sleep. So when you come into a Cloud Cannabis store, you'll have 5 cases on the wall, which will have those effects and products that directly relate to those results from those products. So it's easy if someone comes in and says they can't sleep and they're overwhelmed by all the product selection. Well, it's very easy. You just go over to the sleep wall. Those are all the products that you need to speak to.
Yeah,
or you go over to the energize wall, you go to that. And that's really, it's just because not everyone is the same. Even the seasoned cannabis consumers, we handle and metabolize and use cannabis differently. I mean, I know guys that can smoke anyone under the table, but you give them a 5 milligram edible and they are, they're stoned out of their minds, they're really uncomfortable. So everyone's different. So it's really about personalizing that experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And making it easy to understand and digest. And that's really our goal. So the effects wall is one big thing I think that really appeals. And then, the Bud Tender AI is kind of just, it's an add-on to that. It's on our website, cloudcannabis.com, or we also have touchscreens in store that you can play around with them. But what it allows you to do is essentially select, a flavor that you like, whether it be vanilla or coconut or pine, and a sensation that you're trying to feel, energize, focus, sleep, and a strength of the strain that you're looking for. And then it will select the top 3 leaf options that we have in store that match those end results that you're trying to get to. So a lot of times you'll get, you walk somebody who's not a cannabis consumer through that, and they'll end up with, that grape apple perp or something like that. And normally they would have never selected that, but that actually happens to be the strand that's specific for them. So I think that is, again, it's about education, it's about destigmatizing, and it's just about being accessible so that, there's, let's say 275,000 registered medical patients in the state of Michigan right now, right? Mm-hmm. They know what they're looking for. There's potentially 6.1 million adult use consumers in the state. And that's just talking about Michigan residents. So we see some of our friends from Ohio and Illinois and, some other places quite often. So, and shout out to them as well. So, it's really about appealing to those people, appealing to the people that don't have cannabis experience and making it an easy, repeatable experience, whether you're in Traverse City or Detroit or Utica or Ann Arbor or Muskegon or wherever you're at a Cloud store, what you're going to get and where to go to match your needs.
I like that. And it sounds comfortable and safe.
It is.
Especially for the first time, consumer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people have referred to us as a suburban brand. I don't know if I embrace that necessarily, but it definitely is. It's bright, right? It's clouds. So we have cloud lights hanging, and it's very bright. It's very well lit. We have a cool little cloud channel radio station that we play in there. We have our own little scent.
And everything.
Yeah. So we're just. It's really just trying to provide a really good experience because, listen, it's cannabis. So it's a big deal for a lot of people. But as the 3 of us intimately know, it's just cannabis, right? So eventually these stores will become just stores, So our idea is to make it the best just store we can put out there. And if you do that, you're going to have a really, really great dispensary.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get on Cloud Radio? Our producer wants to know.
I'll see if I can send an API code or something. Yeah, well, and it's cool, you know, and that was it's a funny story. That was born out of me just really enjoying being at the retail, really enjoying, you know, when I go to the stores, I put on the gloves and I'm back there, you know, I want to fill bags. I want to interact with customers. I want to work the drive-through line. I just love it. So I you know, had a knack for turning the music up a little too loud. So they took controls away from me and put this Cloud Radio in. So, you know.
That's cute.
That's great.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, nothing. Sorry, sometimes we still get lost in the middle of what we're doing. So what's really cool about your store is I often go there right at 9 a.m. on my way to work. And it feels like, and I don't mean this as a negative, it feels like I'm going into a coffee shop to get my coffee because there's guys in suits there. And then it's this really cool mix later in the day. It seems like it's a little more OG type crowd. So, you know, I really, it seems to like kind of create a vibe of conversation, especially in the back where people are waiting in line. And it's really an interesting crowd. You know, I don't ever, where am I going with this?
I don't know.
Oh, we're talking about talking about old model versus new model. Like some of the OGs, like the old disco model, as you said, and Cloud is different, but I don't feel like, I don't know. I kind of feel like some of the OG people in cannabis, we all think like we're the people that discovered the band and it's ours only. And we can't try to reach out to other communities or things like that. And I feel Cloud and that type of dispensary is kind of the wave of the future because it's making it accessible to people that have never tried, you know, the product. So in a circuitous way, I'm just asking you, how you feel about that and how you kind of keep that level of the OGs and the new crowd.
Yeah, it's a great question. You have to be intentional about it. You know, I talk about this a lot. You know, we've had a medical law since 2008. We've had an adult use law since 2018. But the legwork and the amount of hours and time that blood, sweat, and tears and years for some people, you know, our friend Ryan Basor has the years to show for the harm that cannabis has done to people's lives with prohibition. So I think it's very, very important to give respect to all those people that came prior to us. We call it cannabis. We don't call it marijuana. You know, it's not, we don't call it weed. It's cannabis. You know, you show respect to the plant, you show respect to the industry, and we have to show respect to the people that came forward. In Ann Arbor, particularly, if you're not doing that, you know, I don't think you have any business to be there. I mean, the amount of talent, industry talent, and IP that has come out of that town for decades. I mean, we're talking, you know, John Sinclair days. I mean, this is old stuff. You know, I talk about the fact that you have people like Dory Edwards who have been working for decades in Michigan, you know, promoting cannabis and the goodwill that comes from it. And it's really just important to make sure that you're showing respect to the old guard, so to speak, as well as opening it up to, you know, the future of cannabis, which is just the everyday consumer.
So fun fact, before John, I approached you, of course, I went and did intel from all of those people that you named. Well, I'm like, and they're all like, yeah. I mean, Mark gives your praises every time I talk to him. So
yeah, and listen, it's great. I mean, it's the really cool thing about the cannabis industry is that you know, it's brand new, like the legal cannabis industry, right? It's brand new, and we're building this as we go here. So it's, you know, building the plane as you're flying it kind of a scenario. There's a camaraderie, I think, that is born out of that. You know, I think there's a shared responsibility to do what's right for the industry, to do what's right for social equity, and to do what's right for each other. I think that's very important, and it's you know, it's kind of cool because you have relationships that you can build with people that otherwise you would never have the opportunity to meet or interact with, and really just learning that the large majority of people in this industry at any level are good people trying to do a good thing. And, you know, having cannabis as that vessel to good, is such a blessing. It's such a blessing because we're reaching out and we're making strides, and you know, the times they are a changing, as they say.
So true.
Love it.
Yeah.
So I hear that you sell these specialty boxes, and I keep hearing about them, and I was actually reading about them today as well. Tell us about them, and I know that sleep's in there too, like it can help with sleep. And what are there other boxes available for different ailments?
Yeah, so and so what we tried to do was basically take that wall, right? That sleep wall and all those products.
Okay.
Let's put them in a box, and let's have that kind of a box-based or subscription-based model to the market. The idea is, again, in that box, you'll have pre-rolls, you'll have concentrates, you'll have edibles, you'll have topicals. You know, we have some really good partners that came in with us on that and did some really nice products. But the idea is that someone who's new can get the sleep box was retailed. It was well over $200 worth of value. I think we sold it for $99.
Yeah.
And it was very, very easy. It was a very good entry point for any consumer. And again, we went with sleep first intentionally because that's what, you know, the large majority of what we hear from people. So we're going to roll out, you know, it was relatively successful. I mean, we were pretty pleased with how it went. You know, as with anything else, right? We're going to make some changes. We're going to sharpen the sword a little bit. And, you know, work on some messaging and some branding on it. But the next one to come is going to be the Energized box. I'm really excited about that. I mean, that's the wall that I lean heavy on. So, and the idea is, again, it's just so easy for a consumer to say, this is, you know, these are the products that match me, so I'll just buy this box. The other thought process is what a great gift you could give someone too.
Absolutely.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And if you're gifting at $100 price point, this is quite a value, and I would say a non-traditional gift, you won't find one more effective than this one. You know,
I think it's a fabulous idea.
It's amazing, right?
It is, yeah. Have it all in one-stop shop, basically, in a box.
And we're very fortunate that there's local partners, there's manufacturers, there's cultivators in the state to partner with to do this type of stuff, because you know it's very cost prohibitive if you have to incur all the costs yourself, you know, on a retail end. So you know, to have local partners, to have, you know, companies like Mitten or Rise or Pyramid or Dream, you know, companies that are willing to partner with us, willing to try something different, you know, it's exciting. And again, that's that collaborative state, right? That's us working together, you know, to spread the good word.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's what it is. Funny. We just had Pyramid in here, and it's also another testament. Whenever someone comes in, we're like, oh, we have John McLeod, and they're like, Pyramid was like, great guys. They're awesome. We love them.
Yeah. And it's so nice too, because there are new companies coming online every day. But the large majority of these companies, these are Michigan companies. For whatever reason, the big MSOs really struggled to gain any type of traction in Michigan initially. And, you know, that was, you know, the big winners were us local guys that couldn't compete against those big conglomerates to begin with. So having, you know, a head start and really having this hyper local approach to the industry collectively has really helped us all kind of grow, you know, as Michiganders. I mean, across the board, you know, these are a large majority of these companies that we talk about that you guys have on, the people you tie. I mean, these are Michiganders with Michigan made products and jobs, lots of jobs.
Exactly.
So kind of on that, on stimulus, let's talk about the deals you guys have going on all the time, because they're crazy. So,
and I hear 420 is coming up too.
Yeah. So today you have Country Boy concentrates 4 grams for $100, rec and med.
Yes. Yep. So ultimately with our deals, right, this isn't a race to the bottom approach for us. This is, again, a partnership with operators, manufacturers, and cultivators to get product out there. Country Boy Farms sugar, particularly, is a product that I think not a lot of people are even aware of that's in the market right now. And, you know, you add a little sugar to your coffee in the morning, to your tea, what have you. It's a nice dosable option for people. So a lot of times we're going to run deals that are bringing products that otherwise people aren't aware of to the market. You know, Country Boy's one, CannaCo edibles, which if you haven't tried them, we're very fortunate in Michigan to have CannaCo in Michigan. It's a California-based company that is now producing just really top-notch edibles. And Jay, have you had them?
Yes, they are fantastic. I love
Fantastic.
them. Absolutely. And it looks like the granola looks like granola you would like take on a trail if you drove a Subaru and hiked all the time.
Okay.
And it's vegan, it's gluten-free, non-GMO, it's natural. It's, you know, and we're very fortunate. These are all dosable products, but, you know, running those deals, you know, it really allows us to provide exposure for brands, provide exposure for new products, and really open up the store to maybe someone who otherwise would be staying away because of price point issues. You know, there's deal shoppers out there too, and we want to be a store for them all, you know, which is why we offer varied levels of flower, different tiers, all the way down to we carry a value tier, which does quite well, you know. And what we found is a lot of people will come in and they'll spend on that value tier, you know, and then they'll add a concentrate that otherwise they would not have tried before.
Right.
Or, you know, you know, a live resin redemption card that they might not have tried before. And that really, that opens up a whole new spectrum of brands and uses for the consumer, which is the end goal, right? Is to really lead with education and let people know what's out there.
So yeah, that's what's great about the stores. I don't ever buy anything online. I always go in because, first of all, there's always great conversations with the staff, but every time I go in, I normally go to buy one thing, then I'll either see something on sale, pick that up, or I'll buy the thing on sale and then pick up something else, because it's just set up that way. And you just, and his bud tenders are really knowledgeable. Can I go through your upcoming 420 deals real quick?
Oh, that'd be great, Jay. I love that, man. That'd be awesome.
Of BOGO from April 16th to 20th. April 16th, Conoco, buy one, get one free. April 17th, Select Cannabis, buy one cart, get a choice or North Cannabis pre-roll. Sunday the 18th, Crude Boy, Tarantula pre-rolls, buy one, get one. Monday the 19th, Mitten Extracts, buy one cart, get one. And then on 420, Country Boy back in with extract sugars, buy 1 gram, get a gram. So those sugars, John, are you saying you can literally like dose those in your coffee? They're soluble, water soluble?
Yes. Yeah. 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 Oh, I'm telling you. And
we've been
that. Yeah, it's that's the really exciting thing, right? Because all of these new products that are coming to market, I know there's people working on tea bags. You know, a lot of people are working on drinks, but it's really just you know, more ways that people can consume and consume discreetly. You know, so that there's not the stigma associated with cannabis. But yes, deals, always at Cloud Cannabis. Not to mention, we just offer a really competitive price point to begin with, and what we feel is a superior shopping experience for the consumer.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, I can't wait to get in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring.
Yes, come on, come on, you got to come through. You know.
Yeah.
I got to start like making a schedule like on the weekends. So I got to go visit.
Yeah. Well, I heard you had one last weekend, so it's time to add a Cloud store to your next weekend roundup. You know.
I can do that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, John, thank you so much for joining us. It was
Thank
a pleasure to talk to you and get to know you and your business. And
I'll be in today or tomorrow. So.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you both, and thanks for the opportunity, and again, thanks for what you guys do. You know, it's very, very important that the word gets out. It's very important that the right voices are heard, and you guys are a conduit to that. So I appreciate it very much.
Oh,
thank you very much.
One more thing. We can't thank you enough for being an MiCIA member. We love that you spread the word about MiCIA. We really appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh yeah, it's my pleasure. And Robin's built something really nice here. You know, and we're very happy to be members. Very happy.
Absolutely. Well, John McLeod, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks,
visit a Cloud Cannabis near you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you both.
Bye, John.
All right.
So real quick, we're going to have a shout out from Quentin Meeks from Sterling Insurance. They are one of our ancillary members.
Our first commercial.
Hello, everyone. My name is Quentin. I lead the cannabis practice over at Sterling Insurance Group. Appreciate you tuning into the podcast today. The team at MiCIA has graciously given us a couple of minutes to share a little bit more about our services and our team. You know, in simple terms, we provide insurance, employee benefits, and risk management solutions to the cannabis industry. We've been involved since about 2017 here in Michigan, and at this point have expanded our footprint both nationally and internationally. I'm not going to bore you with a ton of insurance speak, you know, in a quick minute or so. I just want to zero in on how you can leverage our services to support your cannabis business. It doesn't matter if you have one location or if you're a vertically licensed operator, your business is going to continue to grow and scale. And as it does that, and as this industry continues to mature, your business is going to face a slew of emerging risks. Simply obtaining insurance is not going to appropriately address all of the risks and exposures that your business is going to continue to encounter. That's where we come in. As part of assisting your business and obtaining the coverage it needs, we're going to look into your entire operation so that we can address it more from this perspective of this idea that we call total cost of risk. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the terminology of total cost of risk, breaking that down a little bit, it's not only the premiums you pay, but it's the premiums you pay plus your uninsured exposures, plus your indirect costs of risks. Every business in this industry is going to face every facet of that total cost of risk. So just because your business has obtained property coverage, crop coverage, management liability, you name it, it doesn't mean that your business is fully transferring that risk and that exposure through the insurance that you've purchased. Oftentimes, on these policies, there are a number of relevant exclusions. There's high deductibles, all of which kind of circle back into this fact that the money you're spending on insurance is only addressing a small fraction of the cost of being in business in the cannabis space. We're here to help and support your business. If you're just starting to explore licensing, or if you have attestation questions, let us know. And if you want to dive deeper on some of the strategy that I just talked about, please reach out, let us know how we can help you. You can reach us on the MiCIA member directory. If you're not a member, please consider joining. Otherwise, you can reach us on Facebook, LinkedIn, sterlingagency.com, or get at the MiCIA team. They have our contact info as well. So again, thanks for tuning into the podcast today. Appreciate the couple of minutes to share a little bit more about us, and hope to see you at an event later this year. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.
Couple quick shout outs. Shout out to Pyramid for stopping lunch today. Shout out to Isaiah and Zaria for making the magic happen behind the scenes
and putting up with all of our drama.
And finally, if you're looking to join the cool club of the MiCIA, get your voice heard at the Capitol, email me at j@micia.org, j@micia.org.
That's a wrap. Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Have a great day.
Yep.